What's up, guys? On this episode, a very special episode, episode 20, we are going to be covering everything from off-leash reliability to obsessive licking, overexcitement, wow, and much, much more on episode 20 of Dog Behavior Question Tuesday. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Blake Rodriguez with Dream Come True K9, and this is Dog Behavior Question Tuesday. So today is the big 2-0, 2-0. Hey, Ollie, place, nope. And we're gonna get right into this right here. Dogs are trying to test me on the 20th episode. Nope, place. Ollie, place. Good job, buddy. Sit, down. Good job, bud. Nope, good. Everything's falling apart. Down. Down. Good. Nope. Down. Good. Ollie, place. Hey, place. Come on. Stop. Down. Good. I knew we shouldn't have had this many dogs up. Down. Good boy. Nope. Can't down on that, silly. Down. Good job. Good job. I know that's hard for you. Actually is. I'm not even trying to be funny. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. Illish Jimbo, what's the best way to get a dog off leash walking? Or what is the best way? If you want a dog off leash and you want it reliable without having to guess, without having to worry and say my dog is a 90%er or my dog is 75% of the time good, unless we come across a cat or something like that, remote collar training all the way. First thing I'm gonna go ahead and say, if you do not have a dog that is walking with you politely on leash, forget walking off leash. You might have a dog that trusts themselves more walking off leash, right? Where they're better than when they are on leash, but it's still 100% up to the dog, and we live in this human world. I wanna have a say to be able to help my buddy where they might be smart, but I'm smarter in this world and I know what's best for them. So, remote collar dog training, you have to have a dog that responds on the leash, even around distractions, even around the worst case scenarios. If your dog is not responding on that, then you're not ready to jump to off leash, right? That's a safer way to do it. You want sensitivity on leash, and you transfer the language that you've built on leash to the second language, which is gonna be the remote collar. It's actually pretty simple. You can use the leash to correct. You can use the leash just to guide. You can use the remote to correct. You can use the remote to guide. There's a lot of different things you can do. Hey, chill out, goofball. Down. Nope. Good. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and say, remote collar for sure. For sure. I mean, there's other things you can do with like a long line and everything, but at some point you have to get off of the long line, and that's where things can get a little bit difficult. Gunner and Bandit. How the heck do I stop Gunner from trying to eat my face off when myself and others want to pet him? Okay, well, first thing that I'm going to say, and I actually have never heard this before, but I read it somewhere. I don't know if maybe you read it. You pet what you get. Or you get what you pet, sorry. You get what you pet, meaning if you're, what's that? That's a good one. It is a good one, right? Yeah, it's so simple. I wonder where I got that from. I don't know, I read a lot of things online, but it's so true. You know what I mean? You wanna work on affection only being able to go down like this. Until you can get that, stop petting your dog excited. Stop, what a baby, and hi, what's up? Did you miss me? Oh, I know, you've been such a good boy. None of that, because you're creating that, right? So play a little bit hard to get, teach a dog how to focus and be pet calmly without ruining, work on place command, work on impulse control stuff, and you will start to, what's that? Negative punishment, yeah, withholding, nope. Until you get something, and being aware of what you're moving forward on. Basically taking something away, which might be affection, could be food, you can do it for food too, until you get a certain behavior, then move on that. When you don't see that, you have to disagree. You can't nope and try to pet, and as you're petting, calm the dog down. It doesn't work that way, all right? Mora, Just adopted 2 3-year-old huskies. Oh my gosh, I adopted 2 at once. I've had them 6 months. When people come over, or meet us on the street while I'm walking them, they jump on them. I've tried redirecting them, help. It's the same thing. First off, stop letting random people just run up to your dog if you are struggling to get your dogs to behave a certain way, and teach them how to relax. And then work with humans that can actually take direction from you, that you know, where they can come up to you, sit down without acknowledging the dogs. Teach the dogs how to be around humans without needing to be the center of attention, right? And because what doesn't really help is, hey, lay down. What doesn't really help is when you have dogs that are always used to being, hey, down, always used to being the center of attention, and then when they're not, you come over and they can't function, right? You really, really, really need people that are gonna pet calm and give that type of exposure, right? You're also going to need down. And the reason I'm being specific about her down is because she gets a little bit barky and nervous around people, so I want her relaxed instead of here getting ready to bark. So I'm actually doing work to prevent what she struggles with in some other areas, just showing her, hey, you can be relaxed. I know people are gonna walk by. You need to stop having people, like it makes no sense if my kids, I'm getting them ready for bed, and then Uncle Jimmy comes home and goes, who wants ice cream? And you're asking a question, how can I get my kids to not get excited when Uncle Jimmy comes home and ask who wants ice cream when they're ready for bed, right? The people that are petting your dog, first off, the dogs are either getting too excited, or if they're not getting excited until they're getting pet, the people are petting the wrong way, so they shouldn't even be petting, if that makes sense, right? So that's how I would answer that. Riley Redbone, I foster dogs, just adopted a Chihuahua rescue from a puppy mill. I'm not sure, or I am not used to small dogs yet. One issue is she's always underfoot around me, doesn't want to go too far away, but I don't want her to get stepped on. Thanks, Blake. Simple answer, duration commands, or duration exercises, place commands. Don't allow her to be around you. Get her on a leash, teach her leash pressure, teach her how to hold a place just like this. A lot of these dogs, if they had a choice, would want to be around me. Some of the dogs would want to be playing. Some of the dogs, nope, place. Some of the dogs would be wanting to do a lot of other things, right? But the follow through, hey, stop, down, is what's super, super important. Without follow through, you can't be taken seriously, right? So you need to understand that, of course, when you try it the first couple times, it's not gonna work. You saw how I started the episode, and even here, this dog was getting up, this dog, it happens, but you have to be in a position to follow through, right? You need to work on place command regularly. Keep the dog away from you. They don't have to be all the way at the other end of the house, but they can learn how to start placing over there and relax, right? Really, really, really strongly suggest that. Doesn't matter whether it's a big dog or a small dog, it's still a dog. Casey, how do I stop my dogs from jumping on the furniture? They've had years of being able to sleep on the furniture and now they can't be. It's so hard. Help. Well, it starts with, basically what I'm gonna say is when you're not around, create your dogs. They can't practice something without you addressing it and actually letting them know that you'd rather them not do it. When you are around, place. Change the habit, stop excitement. I'm willing to bet that you invited it a lot. Now that you want to stop it, you can't just tell them no and expect them to know what they do. So sometimes, Ali, place. Sometimes you must, stop, down. So that was a little bit more of an umph to get them to go, oh, maybe you mean it, and we'll see where it goes. We'll see if that actually got through. So mean. We need to, what was I talking about? Oh, you need to, instead of just telling the dog, don't do that, spend more time saying don't do that, but do this, nope, but do this, nope, but do this, and drill it until it becomes habit. The same way I'm getting drilled in jiu-jitsu class every time my footing is in the wrong place, the same way I'm getting drilled when I'm at the gym and my shoulders are slouched when I'm trying to do something instead of being back, the same way you get corrected over and over for anything in life. You catch it, follow through until it becomes habit, and you don't need to micromanage them as much, essentially, right? Let's see what else. Therese, I muzzle trained my dog a while ago. He hasn't had it on until we went to the vet. He hates the vet. His anxiety goes through the roof. He lunged and barked at the assistant. And vet, even with his e-collar on, we have to go to the vet for his yearly shots, and I'm debating whether I leave the muzzle at home. Oh, I should leave the muzzle at home. I think it aided in his anxiety last time. I don't want to risk the safety of the vets and the technicians. What's your advice? Definitely muzzle the dog for sure. It's a little bit different. Veterinarians don't have experience, and vet techs don't have experience with like training dogs. They have experience, if anything, with restraining, right? And that can put a lot of stress and pressure on dogs, especially with the smell that hospitals tend to have. It gets associated with the experience that they have every single time. Ali. Whoa. I got to get myself together. Down. So, the vocalization, I don't know if you guys picked up on that or heard that. He's a very vocal dog. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to separate him, and I'm going to put him on his own placemat. For me, I think this is important. Where are those little ones at? Oh, right over here. There's a quarter in there. Let's go, bud. Place. Hey, down. So it's another way to follow through. It's possible, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, that he was just uncomfortable in that situation. Has no excuses now, you're gonna chill. He's a high anxiety dog, out of practice, just got dropped off today. But he's chilling out, he should know this. I know they practice this with the caretakers. I don't know how much the owner does it, but I know the caretakers do this for sure. Let's get back to it. Yeah, totally, so there's a couple things you can do. You're familiar with the markers, good, yes, and nope. You can feed Atticus this way, where with the muzzle that you're using, food goes through, and don't start to name it until he goes in, but show him where the food is, let him go in to take it. This is the only way he eats. He goes in, he takes that food, or he takes a little bit. You can yes him, and then give him some more, or you can put it in, yes, let him take the food. And do that a couple of times. Eventually you'll have a dog that should be eager to put their head in. Another thing you do, you can put the muzzle on prior to the vet, right? The anxiety is gonna happen, it's a little bit of a rough situation. There are ways to practice going into that, doing conditioning, but the first thing you should do is you should just muzzle condition the dog for sure. A couple things you can do is really exercise him prior so he's tired and he's relaxed a little. And I would maybe have a little bit more involvement if you can control more. Don't have them baby talk your dog. It's more often than not gonna help. Just have them understand how to use the leash, relax him, down him, and get him to do the things that he's used to doing. The vets can be tricky because they have to get a job done. You're limited on time, so it is a tough one. Muzzling, conditioning, or definitely use the muzzle to keep it on him. It's going to create more anxiety. What you can do is just around the house have him wear it a little bit more during feeding time, so it becomes more of a positive experience and association. Overall, though, that's a tough one because even after you muzzle condition your dog, the experience is the experience. So it is harder. You have to work on challenging him more. It doesn't have to be at the veterinarian. Like if he has the muzzle on, this is how he gets fed. It starts with you guys going over him, doing a little bit of straddling, your friends being next to him when he has the muzzle, giving him food. You know what I mean? If he's used to working for his food, this should be easier. Friends coming over, putting one foot over him when he has the muzzle on, correcting that, nope, down, chill, good. And then yes him for food, it comes over, so he learns how to tolerate, right? Very similar to what we did with Bucky. Bucky, the dog that we had to condition to be touched because he gets groomed regularly. We worked him for his food. You get touched a certain period of time, you get played with, I know you don't like it, it's all right, but look what happens when you don't bite and say it's over, boom, you get your food. And if he gets used to that, he won't like it, but he'll start to learn, okay, let me tolerate this for a little bit longer. Whew, it ended, okay, here you go. And you can start to smooth it out that way, right? It takes a little bit of time and practice and a lot of practice on your guys' end, for sure. Geek Tard, sorry, the gums stuck on the roof of my mouth. Hi again. My dog just came home after a week at his doggy daycare, and now he's a nervous wreck. Should I go back to basics, short place commands, or should I demand the obedience he had before? It depends. I mean, you got to chill your dog out. A lot of times the problem with daycares is it's play, play, play all day, go, go, go all day, and then you bring them back to the real world and they don't know how to function, right? So get him on the tools that he's familiar with and go back to basics. This is what you do. This is how you do it. And you ask for things that you think are doable. If you see he's really stressed and he can't do that, go back to basics and just do it little by little. Feeding, everything, nothing changes, right? It's like, ooh, this is a little bit too much. And then I would consider maybe a daycare that offers a little bit more structure, or trying to teach them, what your dog needs. Because the last thing you want is people that you need to rely on. Hey, people that you need to rely on when you're away that you can't rely on. That's horrible. And you come back and there's all this undoing. I hate that, right? Stop. Let's see what else we have. Richard, could you please help give insight on flooding, when it is recommended, when it is not, and anything to watch out for and things we shouldn't do when attempting to flood, and your take on how to do it properly. If a dog is really scared of walking past another dog, humans, and he shivers and cowers, nothing seems to work, can we just flood? How, in your opinion, hey, good. How, in your opinion, should this be handled? Do you have to wait till the dog stops shivering before you stop flooding? If you drag him past the dog, that's a long question, sorry. If you drag him past the dog back north and he put on the brakes, then walk with the tail behind his leg, should we keep? Okay. What we're looking at in your situation, I'm going to say flooding probably doesn't help. There are situations where flooding can help tremendously, right? If your dog is freaking out or nervous of, let's say, like cars passing by, it doesn't make sense to work on cars passing by one at a time if you live in the suburbs. It makes sense to take your dog to a highway so it's just nonstop, and he has to learn how to function through it, right? That's the problem with fireworks. If you actually think about the way you're doing fireworks and thunder, it's a type of flooding, because when you don't get it, that's the problem why so many people struggle, is because it's not consistent, so you don't get to regularly practice. But you can flood without opening up the gates fully, right? So when you're opening up that water or you're flooding, let's say you're doing like thunder and fireworks and stuff, you can use soundtracks where it only plays when it's time to eat, but you can control the volume, so it's not on max while your dog needs to eat, right? Same thing with this. You can start to flood in a way where you're teaching your dogs to walk by, but you have to help your dog out and give your dog more space and proximity, right? You shouldn't just be dragging, right? You really want to get the dog to a point where he's soft on the leash. I would say you need to work more on leash pressure and get that better. That way that can help you, and you can teach your dog how to, even if you need to go around, give your dog the benefit of the doubt so they can understand what to do to be successful way before you throw them into the fire pit. Your dog's probably not ready for that. Anything you want to add to that?
What was the specific example?
It was hard. It was a really long question, and I got to be honest with you guys. I know I'm super like uppity all the time. Today I am tired. I'm tired today for sure. It's tough. He's talking about shivering and everything. That's too much. The type of flooding you're talking about is not appropriate for that situation.
You're gonna put stress on the dog. You should be confident that you should be able to get what you're asking for.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah, that's a great point. So what Andrew said is, if you're gonna put stress on a dog, you should be confident that you're putting that type of stress because you know you're gonna end where you're gonna get what you originally asked for. And if you can't get that, and you wouldn't bet $1,000 of your own money with the person that you hate, don't do it. All right, you got to know if you're going to push and you're going to stress and you're going to flood to a degree that you're going to get to a certain point. All right, that's really, really important. Let's see, Chidvora. How can I begin training my dog from resource guarding her food when other dog is near? This has already caused fights between the two of them, so my temporary solution is feeding them two completely separate areas. I have already begun doing place work and leash work. Any help would be awesome, man. Okay, a couple things you can do. First off, you're gonna work on them one-on-one, no worries. Get recall. Be able to call each dog off of their food with remote collar and leash, no matter what, right? Get that really, 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 really solid. Then, this is a little bit tricky. If you have one dog that is possessive, that dog stays on leash with you, with remote collar, and you're able to call the dog off. You're able to get to a point where you can do two things. The food is over here and the dog is over there. When you say here, the dog can come to you right away, not we're going after that last step. The second thing is if I was to say out and I step into the dog will back away, right? You can do that with leash and remote to teach the habit. I understand the dog might not be aggressive for you, I get that. But you're teaching the habit, drilling the habit, and you're getting it so solid that the dog actually knows what out means. When they know that, you do the same thing with the other dog. Now, assuming that you might need help with this. You should consult a professional, right? Because this is just examples. It's kind of tough to be hands-on with this. But you should have a second person with that second dog who knows the same thing. So both of these dogs know this, right? Then if you're doing remote collars and you're teaching recall, you're teaching out, you can do this thing called feed the chickens where the kibble is spread along the floor outside. This is dangerous protocol, right? So like it's a safer way to do it, but it's a little bit tough. And then what you want to do, you can also back tie the dog. So the dog has one dog has a distance back tied if it's by yourself, and the other dog is here, so you know where that line of tape is. And they're eating the kibble, picking it up, and right when it's about to get close, before you see a certain behavior, before you see the snarl, you're calling the dog out of it, calling the dog out. And every time you call them out, you give them something for it. Good boy, boom, good girl, yes. They go back and they get more and more. At some point, you're gonna have to go higher because the dog's gonna know it, and then they're gonna say, yeah, I know it, but right now that dog's going for that same kibble. That's when your timing must be good because it's gonna be leash with a higher remote. In this situation, this is a must, right? So a lot of times I'm always telling you about soft, teach a dog, and you are doing that. But at some point, if it comes to the point where the dog still thinks that that's okay, you have to let it be known that it's not allowed. What you tend to see at that point is a dog that is scared. A dog that is like, holy cow, what was that for? I don't get it, I don't know if I wanna eat. You see if they wanna eat for the rest of the meal. If they don't, no worries. They have to learn that this is the only way they eat, right? And they're not allowed to do that. So what happens is anytime they feel, usually only have to do this at max 3 times, usually 1 to 2 times, and the dog gets the gist of it. They're eating, the other dog is eating and coming close, and normally when they would do this to go ahead and snap, they see the dog and they go, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and I go away. When the dog goes away nervously, you reward the heck out of it. Good job, boom. So you know that a dog can eat. And if he's comfortable, he'll continue eating. If he gets nervous, he's choosing to go away because you've already made it clear, don't do that, do anything else but that. That's dangerous, that's tough. You really want to do this around a friend, with a friend, or be able to be safe with protocols to back tie and stuff like that. You can also do it in a way where a dog can eat through a muzzle if they can try to get that. That way, you know, it's safer and you can still practice the same protocol. If you're worried about your timing being off where that other dog might get injured, you can totally muzzle where there's an opening so a dog can still eat, right? And try it that way. Let's see where else we are. Iron Shamrock. I've been working my dog with a prong collar for a couple weeks now. I've tried to introduce the remote collar, but even at low levels, 3 and 4, she runs and hides even with the leash on. She seems confused even by the most basic things she normally can do fine with the leash on, with or without the prong, such as sit down with the guidance of leash pressure. So if she's freaking out for a 3, put it on a 2, right? If she's freaking out a 4, put it on a 2, and you need to guide more with the leash. You can't press a button and expect a dog to know what to do. You need to go lower and guide the dog and show them what to do. There are some situations where you have dogs that are super, super sensitive, so you need a dog really, really firing without that remote collar prior. Go on a lower level, show what to do, good, and then eat, show what to do, because more often than not, they're weirded out by the sensation. They don't really know what it is. It's not that the sensation is hurting them. They've never felt that before, and it's not the most confident dog on the planet. So the leash has to override the remote. The remote just happens to be going on. If it's a 2, work them on a 2 until you get that really, really solid. Then you can maybe go to a 3. Another thing you can consider, if it's on a stock contact points, you can change it to a comfort pad, which will dissipate the levels a little, and you can work with softer levels. All right. Carlo, what's up, buddy? When I don't need to give food or treats for some orders to my dog, how do you work the anxiety and nervousness when some new people arrive? You used a crate for this case. Please help. Okay, so basically I think, and I know, no worries, I know you said before the English is not priority, but I get the gist of it. When you're at the point that you don't need to give food or treats, I guess you're saying, or not at the point when you just don't need it in order to give orders, how do you work the dogs for anxiety and nervous? Well, first off, you should be going back to food. A dog should be eating this way. When someone new or people arrive, they're not giving the dog any attention. The dog's learning how to hold place. You have the dog on a leash. They hold it. You don't need to ask them to do anything. Just teach them how to do that. Keep them away so that people can do their own thing and they can learn that they're not going to be bothered by those people, right? And then you reward once the dog gets over and might be a little nervous but is chilling out and you've seen a significant change, good. You reward that. You chill out. A little bit of food. You don't release them. You teach them how to actually be comfortable holding this. And little by little, you work for a little bit more. But if you're not using food at this point, you probably should. Not treats, but get your dog used to working for their food. So it becomes a positive association. When people come over, I'm getting fed, right? Now, this is the thing. If your dog normally eats in other ways, they might not be excited to eat or even hungry to eat because they know they're going to eat later. But if the only way that they eat is when the scary things come over, people, strangers, eventually it's not scary anymore because they go, oh, it's time to eat. Right? So that's all it represents, okay? Even if it was scary before. If I got hit with a paddle by my parents and then I got adopted and these people, every time they brought the paddle out, it was actually to stir soup and I realized how good that soup tasted, eventually when that paddle came out, it would change the association that I had in the past, right? You just gotta keep doing it. That is all the questions for episode 20. Very special episode, the big 2-0. I'll see you guys next week.